Chapter 1649. Although the geniuses in the second stage of the sage-to-be were slightly weaker, they were still an amazing force when they joined forces. The power of various laws intertwined and blasted into the sky. Even though the opponent was a Saint Realm expert, he was forced to retreat. Lu Ming held a chaotic cyclic seal in his hand and smashed it toward the giant lizard-like beast. Bam! The lizard-like beast was hit by the chaotic cyclic seal and was forced to retreat. Its skin and flesh were lacerated and blood flowed out. They took the opportunity to charge forward. "Stay here." There was a cold voice in front of them. A huge demonic palm grabbed at them. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically at the sight of the vast aura. "Great achievement, Bright Saint," Lu Ming roared. Their opponents had even dispatched a greater success stage Bright Sacred Realm expert. They were clearly trying to kill them. Each stage of the Saint Realm was divided into 4 stages: small achievement, great achievement, peak, and complete. The gap between each stage was huge. It was even bigger than the gap between the stages of the martial royal realm. Why did the Saint Realm experts of the various clans join forces to kill them in the 100-tribe battlefield? At this moment, Lu Ming and the other youths were full of questions. However, it was not the time to be puzzled. The key was to rush out first. "Join forces with me," Lu Ming shouted. His hands were like illusions and the chaotic domain boiled. A giant chaotic cyclic seal was formed and blasted toward the giant demonic palm. On the side, Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, the yellow-robed youth, and the other experts all joined forces. Their terrifying attacks merged into a colorful light beam and rushed toward the demonic palm. Boom! The demonic palm was defeated directly. Lu Ming, who was at the forefront, immediately changed his direction and flew at high speed. The rest followed behind him. Behind them, the Saint Realm experts chased. On the other side, the 10th Golden Crow Prince and Dao Tai also broke through the opponent's blockade and fled into the distance. Boom! On the other side, another demonic palm was formed and grabbed toward them. They continued to join forces and defeated the demonic palm. They flew forward quickly, but the Saint Realm cultivators behind them were hot on their heels. There was also a ball of terrifying demonic light flying toward them. The existence within the demonic light was an expert in the great success stage of the Bright Sage Realm. "Let's split up. Otherwise, if we're being watched like this, none of us will be able to escape," Lu Ming said. The expressions of the others changed rapidly. "Let's split up. We'll only stand a chance if we work together," Yi Dongfang shouted as he turned into a bolt of lightning and charged in another direction. "Go!" Following that, the yellow-robed young man also flew out. The other 2 prodigies who had reached the jar stage flew out as well. Then, the weaker ones scattered in groups of 3 to 5 and fled into the distance. As for Lu Ming and Huang Ling, they flew straight ahead and increased their speed to the maximum. "You guys go after those people. Leave those 2 to me." The existence in that ball of demonic light had its eyes on Lu Ming and was chasing after Lu Ming. The other saints scattered and chased after the others. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, and the existence in that ball of demonic light had flown for tens of thousands of miles. The ball of demonic light was moving at an astonishing speed and was closing in on Lu Ming and Huang Ling Bubble. With a thought, Lu Ming summoned Bubble, who was hiding in the pagoda, and opened a space-time passage. Lu Ming and Huang Ling rushed in and appeared tens of thousands of miles away. Then, Bubble continued to open the passage. After a few times, it had completely shaken off the ball of demonic light. It seems that Bubble has also advanced. Lu Ming's heart jumped. In the Yuan continent, Bubble could only open a few thousand miles of space-time passage. Now, it could travel tens of thousands of miles. It seemed that Bubble had also advanced in the 3 months that he had gone through 9 lives and 9 reincarnations. It should have reached the first stage of the sage-to-be and its strength had greatly increased. They flew for another 100,000 miles before coming to a stop. "Why do these saints want to kill us? Is it because we've entered the reincarnation emperor's tomb?" Huang Ling frowned as she could not figure it out. Lu Ming shook his head as he could not figure it out either. If it was because of the reincarnation emperor's tomb, It should be because the undead clan had attacked them. That was the undead clan's territory. How could there be so many clans? Moreover, Lu Ming felt that the being in the ball of demonic light should be a human. In the 100-clan battlefield, only the native humans had reached the Saint Realm. Let's go back to Darkwater City first, Lu Ming said. Huang Ling nodded and the two flew toward Darkwater City. A moment later, in front of the mountain of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb, figures gathered. There were 2 saints from the undead clan, a few powerful ferocious beasts, and other saints from other clans. The 12 saints from before were all gathered here. Damn it, those people escaped. We only killed a dozen of them. The gigantic lizard, whose skin and flesh were lacerated by Lu Ming, roared furiously. At this moment, a ball of demonic light flew over. The other saints all looked at the demonic light. The demonic light retracted and revealed a figure. It was a human. He was a black-robed elder with a gloomy face. Previously, I deliberately revealed the news of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb to these foreign prodigies with the intention of letting them fight among themselves for the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. I didn't expect these people to not suffer many losses after entering the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. What a mistake, the black-robed elder said in a low voice. What do we do now? Asked a Saint Realm expert. Kill. We must kill, the black-robed elder said in a cold voice. The 100-clan battlefield belongs to us. The wealth and treasures here belong to us. However, the large sects and factions outside have been constantly sending young prodigies here for so many years to plunder the treasures here and hunt down the living beings of our clans. Even the humans who have been training outside have been killed by them. Therefore, we must kill them this time. Kill them until the large sects and factions outside are afraid. Kill them until they no longer dare to send people in. This way, the 100-clan battlefield will truly belong to us in the future. The black-robed elder's words caused the other saints to show anger and killing intent in their eyes. We'll inform the various clans to hunt down the foreign prodigies everywhere. Many of them will probably go to the Alliance Mountain. At that time, we'll ambush them there. Remember, we have to specifically target those with high talent. The higher the talent, the more the large sects will be heartbroken and afraid. They won't dare to send people here in the future, the black-robed elder said. Okay, let's do that. I'll immediately inform the other clans, ambush them everywhere and hunt down the foreign prodigies. Chapter 1650. Lu Ming and Huang Ling flew towards Darkwater City. 2 days later, Darkwater City appeared in front of them. When the two of them entered the city, the soldiers guarding the city looked at them coldly but did not do anything. Something is wrong with the soldiers guarding the gate. They seem to want to attack us, Huang Ling said with a frown as they walked on the streets of Darkwater City. It's not just the soldiers guarding the gate. The other people on the streets are also looking at us strangely. Moreover, have you noticed that there are no young people who are too powerful? Lu Ming said with a frown. Huang Ling looked around and found that the people on the street were looking at the two of them with strange gazes. Moreover, there were not many young experts. Occasionally, they would see some who were not very powerful. They were obviously local youths. It was as though the young elites who had come to train had evaporated into thin air. Oh no, I'm afraid the situation has changed. Lu Ming had a bad feeling. Let's go to Phoenix Palace to take a look. Huang Ling was anxious. The two of them rose into the air and flew towards Phoenix Palace. Soon, they arrived at Phoenix Palace. However, there was no one in Phoenix Palace. Phoenix Palace was empty. There was not a single disciple of Phoenix Palace. It was as though the disciples of Phoenix Palace had evaporated into thin air. What's going on? Did something happen in the past 3 months that caused all the young elites to leave Darkwater City? Or have they all left the 100-tribe battlefield? Huang Ling was very puzzled. Along the way, she had learned from Lu Ming that they had stayed in the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb for 3 months. Holy Lady! At that moment, an old woman flew over and bowed to Huang Ling. Huang Ling was stunned. Holy Lady, it's me. The old woman's appearance changed rapidly and turned into a young and beautiful woman. The old woman from before was actually this woman in disguise. Huang Xian, it's you. What happened? Huang Ling asked. Obviously, the young woman was a disciple of Phoenix Palace. Holy Lady, we have been captured. The other senior and junior brothers and sisters have been captured by the local experts. As I know how to disguise myself, I was able to sneak into the crowd and escape. Holy Lady, let's go. The local experts will be here soon, Huang Xian said anxiously. Local experts? Huang Ling was a little stunned. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the sound of air being torn apart could be heard. There were at least a few dozen streaks of light streaking across the sky and flying towards them. Dozens of armor-clad powerhouses instantly descended above Phoenix Palace, emanating powerful auras. The dozens of people were all in the half-saint realm. More than a dozen of them were in the third stage of the half-saint realm, the vessel of law realm. Take down all the foreign sky prides. A tall and sturdy man roared. Attack. The experts immediately made their moves, unleashing powerful attacks to inflict serious damage on Lu Ming and Huang Ling. You're courting death. Huang Ling shouted angrily. The undying flame burned fiercely and turned into an undying raging flame phoenix. It pounced out. With a flap of its wings, 5 or 6 half-saints were killed. On the other hand, Lu Ming threw out more than a dozen punches. Every punch sent out a ray of fist radiance. Each ray of fist radiance could explode an expert in the air. To Lu Ming, it made no difference whether the ordinary half-saints were in the vessel of law realm or in the second stage of the half-saint realm. They were all killed in one move. Evil creature, you are courting death. At this moment, a loud shout could be heard from the depths of Darkwater City. A terrifying aura shot up into the sky. Oh no, it's a Saint Realm expert. Let's rush out first. Huang Ling's face changed. All right, Lu Ming said. Having said that, Lu Ming used the Tempest Steps. With a flash of his body, he appeared in front of a local semi-sage. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the other party's throat. He lifted the burly man and dashed out of Darkwater City with Huang Ling and Huang Xian. In the depths of Darkwater City, an elder rushed out and slashed out a ray of terrifying sword radiance. This was a radiant Saint Realm expert. Lu Ming threw out a punch and destroyed the sword radiance. Huang Ling used her true origin to carry Huang Xian, and the three of them rushed out of Darkwater City quickly. In a short while, they rushed out of Darkwater City and rushed into the distance. In Darkwater City, the Saint Realm Elder seemed to be afraid and did not chase after them. After flying for a long time, Lu Ming and the others stopped. Lu Ming sealed the cultivation of the local half-saint and threw him to the ground. Huang Xian, what is going on? Huang Ling asked. I don't know. About a month ago, the local people suddenly attacked. Many Saint Realm experts attacked the geniuses of the foreign forces. Many of them were killed. Many of our Phoenix Palace people died as well. The others were captured and some escaped the city, Huang Xian explained. What are these races in the 100-race battlefield trying to do? Huang Ling's eyes burned with flames. When they came out of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb, they were also attacked by the Saint Realm experts of the various races in the 100-race battlefield. Was all of this a coincidence? Just ask this guy and you'll know. Lu Ming said. He stepped on the dantian of the local half-saint and said, Tell me, why did you attack us? Ha ha ha, don't you know your own limits? The 100-race battlefield belongs to the various races of the 100-race battlefield. You outsiders are always coming in to steal the treasures here and kill the people of the various races. You all deserve to die. This time, the various races of the 100-race battlefield have joined forces to kill you all so that the major sects of the outside world will not dare to send people here in the future. The local half-saint laughed maniacally. I see. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. It seemed that the local races had a deep grudge against the prodigies of the outside world. It seemed that they had been planning this for a long time to launch a thunderous attack to kill these foreign prodigies. It was useless no matter how strong the major sects and factions of the outside world were. Experts of the Saint Realm and above could not enter the 100-race battlefield. In this way, They could only give up on the 100-race battlefield as a place to train prodigies. Tell me, where are the people you captured? Huang Ling asked. There's no harm in telling you. Those who were captured have been taken to the Alliance Mountain, including the disciples of your Phoenix Palace. They will be killed at the Alliance Mountain as a sacrifice to the ancestors. Ha ha. The local half-saint laughed. The Alliance Mountain. Huang Ling frowned. She then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, I'm going to the Alliance Mountain to save the disciples of Phoenix Palace. Goodbye. They had joined forces because of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Now that the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb was over, their alliance was naturally over. Huang Ling, this is probably a trap set by the local races. I'm afraid it's very dangerous to go to the Alliance Mountain, Lu Ming said. Chapter 1651. Those who could enter the 100-tribe battlefield to train were all prodigies, and most of them had superior earth spiritual bodies. If all of them died here, it would be a great loss to Phoenix Palace. As the Saintess of Phoenix Palace, she had to be rescued. I'll go with you. Lu Ming smiled. You're coming with me? Huang Ling was stunned. More people means more helpers. Why? Are you touched? Lu Ming said with a smile. Thank you. Huang Ling cupped her fists solemnly. Okay, then let's head to Alliance Mountain. This is also a training experience, but this time, our opponents have changed to Saint. Lu Ming smiled and then burst out with his true origin to kill the native half-saint. Then, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, and Huang Xian headed to Alliance Mountain. Huang Ling had been in the 100-tribe battlefield for a long time, so she naturally knew where Alliance Mountain was. Alliance Mountain was the place where the various races met in the 100-tribe battlefield. Every once in a while, the various races in the 100-tribe battlefield would meet at Alliance Mountain to discuss matters. A day later, the three of them had traveled a long distance. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, there was a violent roar in front of them. The sky rumbled, and thunder filled the sky. Roar! Then, there was a roar, and sword chi pierced through the sky. There was a terrifying battle taking place there. Let's go take a look, Lu Ming said. The three of them retracted their auras and flew into the sky. The fluctuations in front of them were very shocking. 2 saint auras filled the sky. It's him, Yi Dongfang. Not long after, Lu Ming saw the people fighting. One of them was Wild Thunder Yi Dongfang. In addition, there were 2 powerful figures besieging Yi Dongfang. One of them was a giant lizard-like beast with bone spikes all over its body. It was the beast that Lu Ming had fought outside the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. The other was a human expert, who was also a saint. He was a lesser mastery bright saint. In fact, it was very difficult to break through to the saint realm in the 100-tribe battlefield. Therefore, most of the saints in the 100-tribe battlefield were lesser mastery bright saints. You won't be able to escape. Today, you will die. The giant lizard beast roared and its mountain-like claws slashed towards Yi Dongfang. On the other hand, the human race saint's swordlight bloomed in his hand. It was extremely terrifying as it continuously slashed towards Yi Dongfang. Although Yi Dongfang was strong, he was not a match for 2 saints. At this moment, he was in a very sorry state. His hair was disheveled, his body was bathed in blood, and his aura was weak. He let out a long roar as if he had transformed into a god of thunder. Terrifying lightning power filled the air as the law of thunder burst forth as he fought against the 2 saints. Sometimes, when the thick thunderbolts swept across a large mountain, the mountain would immediately crumble. However, the saint plane cultivators were equally terrifying. Their saint force was unparalleled, and with a single strike, they could obliterate the law of thunder. Save Yi Dongfang, Lu Ming said. All right. Huang Ling nodded. Yi Dongfang's character was not bad. Moreover, their strength was still too weak for this trip to Meng Mountain. With Yi Dongfang, their strength would be even stronger. Leave that giant lizard to me. You and Yi Dongfang deal with that human warrior, Lu Ming said. Huang Ling nodded and asked Huang Xian to stay here. Huang Xian could not interfere in a battle of this level. Hiss. Lu Ming activated the wind thunder steps. With a flash of wind and thunder, His figure rushed out quickly and charged toward the giant lizard. The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he suddenly threw it out. Like a bolt of lightning, it tore through the air and stabbed toward the giant lizard. Lu Ming's spiritual body was very powerful now. When the spear was thrown out, it was covered in the chaotic domain. The terrifying sound of the spear tearing through the air shocked the giant lizard. Roar! The giant lizard roared loudly. It did not care about attacking Yi Dongfang. One of its scaly palms slapped toward the black dragon spear. Poof! The black dragon spear directly pierced through the scales on the giant lizard's claw, all the way to the hilt. The giant lizard's palm was bleeding as it roared. At this moment, Lu Ming had arrived. "It's you." The giant lizard roared angrily, a trace of fear in its eyes. It was well aware of Lu Ming's combat strength. "This time, I'll kill you," Lu Ming said coldly. A chaotic flipping sky seal formed in his palm and suppressed the giant lizard. The giant lizard roared and fought back with all its might. However, after colliding with the chaotic flipping sky seal, its huge body shook and it kept retreating. "Kill!" Lu Ming roared. A chaotic flipping sky seal appeared in each of his hands and he smashed it toward the giant lizard. Boom! Boom! The two consecutive attacks made it difficult for the giant lizard to stay in the air. It was smashed to the ground and heavily smashed into the ground, causing dust to fly everywhere. On the other side, Lu Ming's participation shocked Yi Dongfang. The power of thunder filled his body as he dealt with the human saint with all his strength. At this moment, Huang Ling also arrived and joined forces with Yi Dongfang. The human saint was immediately at a disadvantage. "Today, you'll be the one to die." Yi Dongfang seemed to be about to explode with anger. He unleashed a storm of attacks on the human saint. With the help of Huang Ling, the human saint was struck by a bolt of lightning. Even though his body was protected by saint power, it was pierced and he spat out blood. "Damn it!" The human saint roared angrily. He wanted to retreat, but neither Huang Ling nor Yi Dongfang was weaker than him. With the two of them joining forces, he couldn't escape at all. On the other side, Lu Ming had completely suppressed the giant lizard. He rushed onto the giant lizard's back and used the suppressing hell skill. His genuine vitality surged into the flowing yuan gloves as he punched the giant lizard's back. Boom! The punch landed, and scales flew everywhere. A huge crater appeared on the giant lizard's back. Even its bones were broken. Its huge body fell heavily on the ground, creating a huge crater. Roar! The giant lizard howled in pain. Its saint power condensed into terrifying attacks, trying to blast Lu Ming off its back. At this moment, light spots appeared on Lu Ming's body. A dozen saint weapons appeared. For example, the black feather wings and the shield saint weapon blocked the giant lizard's attack. Lu Ming grabbed a saint weapon battle sword and stabbed it into the giant lizard's wound. Sword chi burst out and pierced deep into the giant lizard's body. Then, Lu Ming's power exploded and he slashed horizontally. Rip! The giant lizard's huge body was almost cut in half. Blood flowed all over the ground. Roar! The giant lizard roared. Its huge body rolled wildly on the ground. Lu Ming soared into the sky. An extraordinarily huge chaotic flipping sky seal formed in the sky. This was the full power of the chaotic flipping sky seal. Boom! The full power of the primal chaos flipping sky seal pressed down on the giant lizard beast and smashed into its body. Chapter 1652. The ground exploded and gravel flew everywhere. A huge crater appeared on the ground. When the chaotic sky seal disappeared, the giant lizard beast lay in the crater like a puddle of mud. It had no aura at all. The giant lizard beast was dead. Lu Ming had killed it. On the other side of the battlefield, the human saint saw this scene and was almost scared to death. He had killed a saint before becoming a saint. Even though he was from the 100-clan battlefield and had seen many foreign geniuses since he was young, it was still extremely rare to see such a battle record. For example, geniuses like Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the Golden Crow 10th Prince had reached the third stage of the half-saint realm. They could only fight against ordinary saints, but it was impossible to kill them. Unless it was an even stronger genius. But now, Lu Ming had done it. Even Yi Dongfang and Huang Ling were shocked. Even though they came from powerful emperor-level forces and had seen many things, such a battle record was still extremely rare. Most importantly, Lu Ming was only at the first stage of the half-saint realm. If he reached the second stage of the half-saint realm and comprehended the laws, or even the third stage of the half-saint realm, how terrifying would his battle strength be? The saint tried desperately to break out of the encirclement, but Huang Ling and Yi Dongfang held him back. He was careless and was hit by Huang Ling, almost burning half of his body. Lu Ming waved his hand and the black dragon spear that had pierced the giant lizard beast's palm flew out. Lu Ming put it away and searched around. Finally, he found a storage ring in the giant lizard beast's mouth. Then, he walked toward the human saint step by step. This made the human saint feel a chill in his heart. 12 saint weapons surrounded Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the black dragon spear and charged toward the human saint like a bolt of black lightning. There was no suspense in this battle. With Lu Ming's participation, the human saint's fate was sealed. In the end, he let out an unwilling roar and was killed by Lu Ming and the other two. Huang Ling and Yi Dongfang didn't want the storage ring of the human saint, saying that it was Lu Ming's credit. Lu Ming naturally took it without hesitation. "Brother Lu, Miss Huang Ling, thank you for saving me." Yi Dongfang bowed to Lu Ming and Huang Ling. His eyes were filled with gratitude. If it weren't for Lu Ming and Huang Ling, he would have been attacked by 2 saints and would have been in danger. "It's nothing, Brother Yi, where do you want to go next?" Lu Ming asked. "I originally planned to go to the Alliance Mountain. I heard that many disciples of the Thunder God sect were imprisoned in the Alliance Mountain. I planned to save them, but I didn't expect to be attacked by 2 saints. Of Yi." Yi Dongfang's eyes lit up as he exclaimed, "That's great. I couldn't ask for more." The 4 of them left immediately and flew toward the Alliance Mountain. Although Yi Dongfang suffered some injuries, they weren't particularly serious. With his heavenly spiritual constitution, his vitality was extremely tenacious. He could heal his injuries while flying. Another day passed, and in front of them, a majestic mountain peak appeared before their eyes. The mountain was huge and lush, and it was filled with towering trees. That was the Alliance Mountain. The 4 of them didn't get close. Instead, they hid in the clouds and watched from afar. With their eyesight, they could clearly see the situation on the mountain even if they were far away. There was a flat land at the top of the mountain. Many young people were sitting on it. At a glance, there were at least 1,000 of them. They were all prodigies from various sects and factions who had entered the 100-clan battlefield. "Disciples of Phoenix Palace," Huang Ling said softly. She saw more than 20 disciples of Phoenix Palace in the crowd. At the same time, Yi Dongfang also noticed the disciples of Thunder God Palace. Around these youths, there were powerhouses guarding them. There were humans and terrifying foreign races. There was one in each direction. There were a total of 4 of them. They were all saint stage experts. There were also figures flashing in other parts of the mountain. However, they weren't saint stage experts. They were all below the saint stage. Only 4 saint stage experts. A trace of lightning flashed in Yi Dongfang's eyes. However, he didn't act rashly. The various clans of the 100-clan battlefield have been planning this for a long time. They mainly want to kill a large number of prodigies. But now, there are so many people imprisoned here. It's obvious that they want to lure us here and ambush us. I reckon that there are many powerful existences hiding in the dark. Lu Ming speculated. That's right. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to find out so easily that someone was brought here. The locals probably received the news a long time ago. As long as we asked, they would tell us the news. Huang Ling nodded. Then what should we do? We can't just wait. They might really make a move in a few days. Yi Dongfang said anxiously. I have an idea. However, we don't have enough people. We need some help. Lu Ming said after pondering for a moment. There are many sect disciples who have been captured here. There will definitely be others coming to rescue them. We'll contact them secretly and attack together, Huang Ling said. The 4 of them observed for a while and then retreated into a cloud in the distance to observe from afar. In the other direction of Lu Ming's group, two golden-robed figures stood in a cloud. One of them was the 10th Golden Crow Prince. The other was also from the Golden Crow clan. "Prince, what should we do now? There are more than a dozen people from my clan who have been captured. Should we save them?" The Golden Crow clan member asked. "Save them? How? They have many experts and are obviously waiting for us to take the bait. Do you think it's worth it to put ourselves in danger to save them?" The 10th Golden Crow Prince said coldly. The Golden Crow clan member lowered his head and didn't say anything. "Let's go. We'll leave the 100 clan battlefield," the 10th Golden Crow Prince said coldly. He then retreated and soon disappeared. Following that, more and more people came to watch from afar. However, some people retreated like the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Some people were unwilling to give up and wandered around, watching from afar. Lu Ming's group of 4 flew toward a mountain peak. There were 4 young geniuses on this mountain peak. "Who's there?" With a cold shout, the 4 of them looked toward Lu Ming's group at the same time. "It's you." The 4 of them were stunned. "Xia Ding, the 4 of you should want to save them too, right?" Lu Ming stepped forward and said. The 4 of them were the ones who had attacked Lu Ming and Huang Ling to take the map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. "That's right." Xia Ding stared at Lu Ming and said cautiously. Lu Ming's current battle strength was extremely shocking. If he took revenge and attacked them, the 4 of them wouldn't be a match for Lu Ming even if they joined forces. "How about we join forces? We want to save them too," Lu Ming said. "Join forces?" The gazes of Xia Ding and the others flickered, and then they looked towards Huang Ling and Yi Dongfang. "All right, we agree to join forces." Chapter 1653. Just like that, there were 4 more people in Lu Ming's team. Over the next 2 days, Lu Ming and the others wandered around and invited a few more people to join forces. For example, the yellow-robed young man and another powerhouse whose combat strength was not weaker than Yi Dongfang's. In addition, there were a few weaker sky prides. In this way, there were more than a dozen people in total. For example, there were 4 people at the same level as Yi Dongfang and Huang Ling. "Lu Ming, what is your plan?" Huang Ling finally could not help but ask Lu Ming. "I have a way to change one's aura. I can change my own aura. I will first disguise myself as a native and approach the top of the mountain. Then, you guys will pretend to attack and attract a portion of the powerhouses while I rush in and save those who need to be saved. Then, we will break out of the encirclement together," Lu Ming said. "Can't others recognize your aura-changing technique?" Some people had doubts about it. Lu Ming smiled. He activated his illusory technique and his aura changed to be exactly the same as that person's. Everyone's expression changed drastically. There was actually such a mystical secret technique. Lu Ming smiled. The illusory technique that he had obtained in the divine wilderness continent was indeed very mystical. Even now, it was still very useful. As long as your cultivation doesn't exceed mine by too much, they won't be able to sense it. It won't be a problem to deceive a few bright sages for a short period of time, Lu Ming said. "All right, let's do that." Yi Dongfang waved his hand and a trace of fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. The others also agreed. This method was better than directly attacking. "Wait for me in the distance. When I get close to the top of the mountain, I will send a message to Huang Ling. Then, it will be time to strike," Lu Ming said. The others nodded. Then, Lu Ming landed on the ground. The chaotic territory transformed into the Earth territory. Lu Ming's body directly sank into the ground and disappeared. Lu Ming shuttled underground, completely retracting his aura as he headed towards the Alliance Mountain. When Lu Ming got close to the Meng Mountain, he chose a lone cultivator of the 9th layer Martial Emperor realm and killed him instantly. Then, Lu Ming changed his clothes and his appearance quickly changed. In the end, he looked exactly the same as his opponent. Even his aura was exactly the same. After throwing the corpse into a cave, Lu Ming swaggered back to the peak. Along the way, Lu Ming was naturally unimpeded. Very quickly, he arrived at the top of the mountain. In front of them, a huge blood-colored tiger suddenly opened its eyes. Its gaze was like lightning as it fell on Lu Ming, as if it wanted to see through Lu Ming. This blood-red tiger was one of the 4 Saint stage powerhouses guarding the mountain peak. What are you doing here? The blood-red tiger opened its mouth. Holy might permeated the air, and its aura was oppressive. Senior, I have important news to report to you, Lu Ming said. What news? The blood-red tiger said. This. Lu Ming hesitated for a moment. He deliberately looked to his left and right. He held a message transmission jade talisman in his hand and secretly sent a message to Huang Ling. In the distance, in a cluster of clouds, Huang Ling received Lu Ming's message. Lu Ming has sent a message. Attack, Huang Ling said. Suddenly, more than 10 figures rushed toward the Meng Mountain rapidly. The air whistled and released a terrifying aura. They have finally made their move. The blood-red tiger sneered. It looked in the direction of Huang Ling and the others, but its body did not move. Boom. Boom. At that moment, in the Meng Mountain, terrifying auras shot up into the sky. Sacred might was vast and mighty. 10 different figures rushed out. There were indeed terrifying powerhouses lying in ambush here. 10 Saint stage powerhouses charged toward Huang Ling and the others. Oh no, there are too many of them. Retreat, Huang Ling shouted. They quickly retreated. Don't let them escape. A Saint stage powerhouse roared. 10 Saint stage powerhouses chased after Huang Ling and the others. Humph, this time, all of them must stay here. The blood-red tiger sneered. It then looked at Lu Ming and said, What did you want to report just now? Senior, I wanted to say that someone else has sneaked in, Lu Ming said. Who? The blood-red tiger's eyes shone with golden light. That is, me. Lu Ming suddenly let out a loud roar. He stomped his foot and the ground cracked. Lu Ming's figure dashed toward the crimson tiger and threw a punch at it. Lu Ming used almost all of his strength in this punch. The blood-red tiger did not expect Lu Ming to attack. It wanted to dodge but it was too late. The punch landed on the blood-red tiger's head. Although the blood-red tiger was a Saint stage powerhouse, it could not withstand the blow. Its head exploded and its body flew out. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed over. His glabella shone and the mountain river illustration appeared. A beam of light shone down and shrouded the disciples of Phoenix Palace. The disciples of Phoenix Palace were sucked into the mountain river illustration. Then, the mountain river illustration shone again and sucked in the disciples of Thunder God sect. Courting death. Attack and kill him. At this time, the saints guarding the other directions finally reacted. They were furious and charged toward Lu Ming. Keep. Lu Ming controlled the mountain river diagram and frantically put away those youths. A pagoda appeared above his head. The bubbles cast the space-time domain and 3 transparent bubbles suddenly enveloped the 3 saints, causing them to stop in their tracks in mid-air. Bubbles had reached the Sage-to-be realm and was extremely powerful. The space-time territory was enough to affect the saints. When the 3 saints broke free from the influence of the space-time territory, Lu Ming had already sucked in more than half of the youths on the mountain peak. Kill. A loud shout came from the Alliance Mountain. A beam of demonic light shot out and an elder in a black robe appeared. He exuded a terrifying aura. It's him. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. This elder in a black robe had also fought outside the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. He was a great success bright sage and was extremely powerful. Lu Ming was no match for him. Let's go. Lu Ming kept the mountain river illustration and rushed into the distance. Save us, save us. The remaining youths screamed crazily, including the people of the Golden Crow tribe. However, Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He couldn't care less about these people. Moreover, these people's sect prodigies had retreated. For example, the 10th prince of the Golden Crow tribe and Lu Ming didn't need to save them. Lu Ming was saving their fellow sect prodigies who had joined forces with them. Stay here. The elder in a black robe was filled with murderous intent. Demonic chi surged into the sky as a huge palm print smashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming asked Bubbles to open the space-time tunnel. He rushed into the space-time tunnel and when he reappeared, he was near Huang Ling and the others. Let's go. The group of people gathered and flew forward at an extremely fast speed. However, in the next moment, Lu Ming and the others' faces changed drastically. Chapter 1654. Boom. 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 In front, there were a total of 10 auras, like smoke signals, extremely terrifying. The most shocking thing was that there were 4 auras, each of which was not weaker than the black-robed old man. They were not ordinary saints, but great success bright saints. There was even one whose aura was earth-shattering, much stronger than a great success bright saint. Peak bright saint. Many people turned pale. This time, the other party had sent out peak bright saints, and there were 4 great success bright saints and more than a dozen minor success bright saints. This lineup was too terrifying. If they were surrounded, they would only have a dead end, and there would be no chance. All of you, enter my mountain river diagram, Lu Ming roared, summoning the mountain river diagram. With so many people together, they would definitely not be able to rush out. If Lu Ming was alone, it might be possible. The others did not resist. Lu Ming's combat strength exceeded theirs. If Lu Ming could not rush out, they certainly could not. Suddenly, everyone was taken into the mountain river diagram by Lu Ming. Then, Lu Ming used the wind thunder steps, changed direction, and rushed out like a bolt of lightning. This kid has a grotto heaven treasure, don't let him escape. There was a roar. More than 20 Saint Realm experts chased after Lu Ming crazily. Among them, the peak bright saint expert was the fastest. He took the lead and quickly chased after Lu Ming. Behind him, the 4 great success bright saints, including the black-robed old man, also quickly followed. No matter how wonderful the wind thunder steps was, and how fast the speed was, Lu Ming's cultivation was, after all, only in the first stage of the sage to be. There was a huge gap between him and a great success bright saint, or even a peak bright saint, so in terms of speed, he was still behind. Whoosh! The peak bright saint expert was extremely fast, and quickly approached Lu Ming. A terrifying saber light slashed out from his hand, and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face changed. He was no match for a peak bright saint. At this time, the bubble opened a space-time channel, and Lu Ming rushed into the space-time channel, appearing thousands of miles away. Space-time domain, damn it. That peak bright sage powerhouse roared and the aura on his body roared. His speed suddenly increased and he turned into a stream of light, dashing toward Lu Ming at high speed. In an instant, he traveled thousands of miles. So fast. Lu Ming's expression changed greatly. He quickly flew away, but it didn't take long for the other party to close in on him again. Lu Ming could only have Bubble open the space-time tunnel again. Just like that, after a few consecutive times, the other saints had already been left far behind. However, that peak bright saint existence was still following closely behind. This can't go on. Lu Ming's mind kept turning. Bubble's ability to open a space-time channel consumed a lot of energy. It couldn't be opened continuously. At most, it could open it a dozen times before it ran out of energy. The space-time tunnel could only be used to save one's life at critical moments, but it was unrealistic to use it to travel. If this continued, the other party would catch up to Lu Ming before he could rush out of the 100-clan battlefield. To the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He could only go to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb and risk it. If it really didn't work, Lu Ming could only use the Reincarnation Halberd. However, the Reincarnation Halberd only had 2 beams of energy. If it exploded at full power, it could kill experts below the Emperor level. It was too precious. It was simply a waste to use it on a peak bright sage expert. Unless it was a last resort, Lu Ming was absolutely unwilling to use it. Lu Ming immediately changed direction and flew towards the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Fortunately, it wasn't too far away from the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Every time Lu Ming was about to be caught by the other party, Lu Ming would let Bubble open a space-time tunnel to increase the distance between them. Then, he would rely on himself to fly, giving Bubble time to recover. When the other party was close, he would open a space-time tunnel to increase the distance between them. Just like that, one chased the other, boundless mountains and rivers flitted past under their feet. After an unknown period of time, Just as Bubbles' energy was about to be exhausted, a huge mountain that had been split in half appeared in front of them. They had arrived at the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He rushed straight into the tunnel. A strong pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming strode forward. Not long after, the Peak Bright Sage expert also arrived. He also rushed into the tunnel. Bam! He was caught off guard. The terrifying pressure pressed down on him. Even with his Peak Bright Sage cultivation, he fell directly to the ground and almost fell flat on his face. Boom! The Peak Bright Sage expert's Saint power surged. He wanted to break through the pressure and catch up to Lu Ming. However, it was useless. It seemed that the stronger one's cultivation, the stronger the pressure. In the end, his face was flushed red. He could only step forward and chase after Lu Ming. The two of them moved forward in the tunnel. Very soon, a day had passed. A day had passed, and the tunnel was still boundless. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. When they came out, they had finished this tunnel in a day. Now that a day had passed, it was still a long way ahead. Could it be that when they went in, it took half a month, but when they came out, it only took a day? Very soon, Lu Ming's guess was confirmed. Time passed day by day, but they still had not finished the tunnel. The Peak Bright Sage existence was a thin middle-aged man. At this time, his face was extremely gloomy. However, he was an old monster who had lived for a long time. Naturally, he was very patient. Time passed, and half a month had passed. They finally reached the end of the tunnel. Lu Ming stepped into the tunnel and entered the tomb area. Suddenly, the tomb lit up. Shadows appeared and attacked Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming punched a few times consecutively. He defeated a few shadows and rushed forward quickly. Not long after, the Peak Bright Sage existence also rushed through the tunnel and stepped into the tomb area. However, just as the Peak Bright Sage existence stepped into the tomb area, a few tombs emitted a bright light. The power of laws surged violently. Those few shadows almost became solid. Die, Sage! The shadow of a flaming bull let out a long roar and stomped down. Raging flames burned fiercely. That Peak Bright Sage expert's expression changed drastically. He slashed out with his saber, but the saber light shattered. That Huanyo stomped on his chest. The Peak Bright Sage expert screamed miserably as he was sent flying far away. Blood spurted from his mouth. His chest had exploded. If it weren't for his high cultivation base and strong life force, he would have died. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. When the other party rushed in, the laws on the tombs collectively went berserk, erupting with a terrifying attack. It heavily injured the Peak Bright Sage existence. Could it be that the Sage Realm can't enter here? Once a Sage Realm expert steps in, it will cause the laws on the tombs to go berserk. Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. This was a pleasant surprise. He had wanted to enter the land of reincarnation to avoid the other party's pursuit, but now it seemed that there was no need. Haha, old man, if you have the ability, come and chase me. Lu Ming could not help but laugh. Little bastard, just you wait. Unless you hide in there forever. Chapter 1655. That guy will definitely block me and the other Sage Realm experts at the entrance of the passage. Lu Ming thought to himself as he watched the other party leave. Now, he could only stay here for a while. Lu Ming went deeper into the tombs and soon arrived at the intersection. On both sides of the intersection, above the two tombs, there was a true dragon and a phoenix. Both of them were very powerful, but with Lu Ming's current combat strength and the help of his previous body and bubbles, he managed to rush past them and arrived at the Yellow Spring River. Lu Ming summoned the mountain river diagram, which glowed. Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others, as well as those who had been saved by Lu Ming, all appeared by the Yellow Spring River. Is this the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb? Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others recognized the place as soon as they came out. Those who had not entered were puzzled and looked around. When they saw the Yellow Spring River, their faces darkened. That's right, this is the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Lu Ming's face was solemn as he said, it seems that we will have to stay here for a while. The other party is too strong. With my cultivation, I can't shake them off. We can only hide here for now. It's good enough that we're here. What's your plan next? Huang Ling looked at Lu Ming. Not only was Lu Ming's combat strength amazing, but he was also resourceful and meticulous. He had left a deep impression on her. Cultivate and improve. When we're strong enough, we'll rush out, Lu Ming said. This time, Lu Ming had saved nearly 500 people. Most of them were elites with superior earth spiritual bodies. With the addition of those with heavenly spiritual bodies, as long as their strength improved, they could join forces and rush out. We can cultivate here without worry. Those native sages can't come in. Lu Ming told them about the changes in the tomb. Everyone was relieved. Lu Ming, no matter what, we have to thank you this time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to save them, Huang Ling said sincerely. That's right. This time, it's all thanks to Lu Ming. Regardless of whether I can escape successfully or not, I, Yi Dongfang, will remember this favor, Yi Dongfang said. Lu Ming, we were wrong to attack you back then. I hope you don't take offense. Xia Ding and the other three also stepped forward and expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming. It's all right. I promised to help Huang Ling save the people from Phoenix Palace. Saving you guys is just a matter of convenience. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Next, everyone split up in 2s and 3s, looking for a place to cultivate. Lu Ming returned to the Bridge of Helplessness, but Meng Po was nowhere to be seen. Lu Ming sized up the whirlpool, but in the end, he didn't jump down. He sat cross-legged at the head of the bridge and swallowed the oars to regulate his breathing. When Lu Ming's cultivation recovered, Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram and came to the Enlightenment Ancient Tree. Previously, when Lu Ming had put Huang Ling and the others into the mountain and river diagram, his second body had hidden it with the mountain and river diagram. Therefore, Huang Ling and the others didn't see Lu Ming's Enlightenment Ancient Tree. After all, the Enlightenment Ancient Tree was too precious. If others saw it, there would be unnecessary trouble. Although the mountain and river diagram was precious, everyone present was a genius of an emperor-level force. Naturally, they had seen similar treasures before, so they weren't too surprised. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment Ancient Tree, quietly comprehending the Tao and comprehending the chaotic domain. He hoped to cultivate the chaotic domain into the chaotic law as soon as possible. As long as he cultivated the chaotic domain into the chaotic law and entered the second stage of the Sage-to-Be, Lu Ming's strength would skyrocket. At that time, he wouldn't be afraid of facing someone in the great success Bright Sage realm. He was even confident that he could take a few blows from a peak Bright Sage realm expert. At that time, his chances of escaping would be greatly increased. At the same time, Ming Lian's second body was also cultivating. Ming Lian's second body had already ignited 10 spirit lamps. Next, he would also use inscriptions to communicate with the law and step into the second stage of the Sage-to-Be. As for Bubble, she was also cultivating. The others were the same. In this area, no one disturbed them. Everyone was single-mindedly improving their strength. Outside, there were Saint Realm experts from various clans surrounding them. Everyone was under great pressure. When the pressure was great, they improved faster when they cultivated, turning the pressure into strength. Day after day, time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Ming Lian's second body had been cultivated to the limit. It seemed that he could communicate with the law at any time and step into the second stage of the Sage-to-Be. However, at this moment, Lu Ming had to consider which law to cultivate for his second body. In the Saint realm, generally, one could only control one law. When breaking through to the Saint realm, one would use the law as the foundation to condense a saint heart. The way of inscription could use inscriptions to borrow all kinds of energy between heaven and earth. Of course, it could also be used to comprehend those laws. But most of those laws were ordinary laws, such as metal, wood, water, and fire. But in the way of inscription, there were 3 extremely powerful laws. They were the law of array, the law of tools, and the law of alchemy. These 3 laws were extremely powerful. Mastering each of them was terrifying. Each of them was very difficult to comprehend. They were the supreme laws in the hearts of those who cultivated the way of inscription. Even if they were not comparable to the law of primal chaos, they were powerful laws that were close to the law of primal chaos. Lu Ming's ambition was to comprehend one of the laws. Which one should he comprehend? The law of array. In the end, Lu Ming made up his mind. The law of array could evolve into endless offensive and defensive techniques. There were thousands of changes and endless. Legend had it that after someone comprehended the law of array, they could use the law of array to deduce the law of destruction, and so on. They all had terrifying power and could destroy heaven and earth. Although the law of array was extremely difficult to comprehend, Lu Ming had the Tai Chi array disc. The Tai Chi array disc seemed to contain the law of array. After choosing a direction, Ming Lian's second body began to cultivate again. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. It had been 4 months since they entered the reincarnation emperor's tomb. At this time, Ming Lian's second body's cultivation had reached a critical moment. In the mountain river diagram, 10 golden spirit lamps appeared above Ming Lian's second body's head. In the end, they formed a golden pillar of fire that shot into the sky as if it wanted to communicate with the law of array. The Tai Chi array disc floated in the air and emitted a strange light that sprinkled on Lu Ming's body. Buzz! At this moment, in the sky, there was a strange force that landed on Ming Lian's second body. At this moment, dense runes appeared on Ming Lian's second body. These runes were similar to inscriptions but were many times more advanced. This was the embodiment of the law of array. Lu Ming and the others had comprehended the law of array. Whoosh! Lu Ming suddenly stood up and struck out with his palm. Dense runes appeared on his palm and formed a dazzling battle sword. He slashed forward and a sword chi split a small hill in half. Then, he took a step forward and runes appeared, condensing into a true dragon that flew out. Amazing! Is this the law of array? Chapter 1656. Precepts were formless and untouchable, but they truly existed. After a cultivator comprehended the precepts, their every move contained the power of the precepts, and their power was astonishing. Ming Lian's second body had reached the second stage of the half-saint realm first. The next step was to reach the third stage of the half-saint realm, the vessel of precepts. At that time, he could begin to break through to the saint realm. Ming Lian's second body's breakthrough had undoubtedly greatly improved Lu Ming's strength, but it was not enough. Lu Ming's main body had not yet broken through. Next, Ming Lian's second body continued to cultivate and familiarize himself with the use of the precepts of the matrix. Time passed quickly, and the days passed quickly. Many people had made breakthroughs during this period of time. Many of the heaven's prides with superior earth spiritual bodies used to be in the first stage of the half-step sage realm. Now, they had broken through to the second stage of the half-step sage realm. Many of them who were in the second stage of the half-step sage realm had now entered the third stage of the half-step sage realm. Most importantly, Xia Ding and other geniuses with heavenly spiritual bodies had also broken through to the third stage of the half-saint realm, the vessel of precepts. In this way, their combat strength had greatly increased, and they were no weaker than Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others. Yi Dongfang and the others were originally in the third stage of the half-saint realm. During this period of time, they had reached the limit of the half-saint realm. If not for the 100-clan battlefield, they could have broken through to the saint realm if they were outside. In general, their strength had greatly improved. They were waiting for Lu Ming to come out of seclusion. As long as Lu Ming came out, they could join forces and break out. Just over a month after the second body's breakthrough, Bubble also broke through. The space-time domain had transformed into the space-time precepts. Previously, Lu Ming had asked Huang Ling and the others about what the 10 strongest precepts in the world were. The Chaos precepts were known as the Emperor of all precepts, and were naturally one of the 10 strongest precepts. The Transmigration precepts were also one of the 10 strongest precepts in the world. The space-time precepts controlled time and space, and were also one of the 10 strongest precepts. Therefore, it was extremely difficult to cultivate the space-time precepts. Even Bubble, who was born with the ability to control time and space, and had the space-time crystal given by the Titan Longhorn beetle, had taken a long time to successfully cultivate and comprehend the spacetime precepts, and enter the second stage of the half-saint realm. At this point, Bubble's combat strength had undergone a qualitative change, reaching a terrifying level. Under the Tree of Enlightenment, Lu Ming was still cultivating. From the primal chaos domain to the law of primal chaos, this step was extremely difficult to cross. Back then, the Reincarnation Emperor had given Lu Ming a wisp of true chaotic qi. After Lu Ming had refined it, not only had his spiritual body become much stronger, but it had also allowed Lu Ming to truly comprehend chaotic qi, which would be of great help to his comprehension of the laws of chaos. But even so, after such a long time, Lu Ming still hadn't broken through. A month after Bubble's breakthrough, half a year after they entered the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb, the chaotic domain around him finally changed. The dense primal chaos domain vanished without a trace. At this moment, Lu Ming had an epiphany. He opened his eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. With a thought, an invisible ripple spread out between the heavens and the earth. Then, a strand of primal chaos qi revolved around Lu Ming's finger. Law of primal chaos. A strange light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, as if primal chaos qi was circulating. After half a year of bitter cultivation, Lu Ming had finally mastered the laws of chaos and stepped into the second stage of the sage-to-be. His strength had skyrocketed. Lu Ming himself didn't know how powerful the laws of chaos were. It's time to go out. Lu Ming got up and took a step forward, appearing outside the mountain river diagram. Then, he stepped onto the bridge of helplessness, only to find that many people had gathered in a circle and seemed to be paying attention to something. Lu Ming walked over and came to Yi Dongfang's side. "Brother Lu, you've broken through?" Feeling Lu Ming's aura, Yi Dongfang's eyes lit up. Lu Ming's combat strength was already extremely shocking. If he broke through, it would probably be even more terrifying, and they would have a greater chance of breaking out. "Yes, I broke through by luck." Lu Ming nodded. "Chirp." A phoenix's cry rang out. "Phoenix spirit." Lu Ming's eyes flickered. It turned out that there was a flame burning in the place where everyone was watching. A phoenix was flying in the flame, but Phoenix Spirit's figure was nowhere to be seen. It seems that Phoenix Spirit is about to undergo nirvana. Once she succeeds, I'm afraid I won't be her opponent anymore. Yi Dongfang sighed. "Phoenix nirvana?" Lu Ming whispered. "Yes, the bloodline that Phoenix Spirit awakened in the past was the immortal heavenly phoenix, one of the top 10 battle beasts. It's no small matter. After she cultivated into a spiritual body, at first, it was only an inferior earth spiritual body. However, the immortal heavenly phoenix body has a special characteristic, which is to continuously undergo nirvana and rebirth. Every time she undergoes nirvana, her spiritual body will rise by a level, which is extremely shocking. After this successful nirvana, her spiritual body will probably reach the intermediate earth spiritual body state. Yi Dongfang explained with envy in his eyes. "This is so similar to my 9 dragons bloodline." Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. When the 9 dragons bloodline first condensed a spiritual body, it was also an inferior earth spiritual body. It needed to devour and refine the spiritual essence of the true dragon to continuously advance. However, the immortal heavenly phoenix body could achieve evolution through nirvana and rebirth. Perhaps, those who had awakened the bloodline of the top 10 battle beasts were not simple. Moreover, in the world, for countless years, there had been those who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the top 10 battle beasts, or even surpass them. Once such a bloodline was awakened, it would be extremely terrifying. It seemed that there were spiritual bodies that could continuously evolve like the dragon god battle body. After all, spiritual bodies were not bloodlines. Bloodlines were innate. Once awakened, they could be improved, but they could be improved through nirvana pills. As for spiritual bodies, they were cultivated from bloodlines, not innate. Perhaps the restrictions were not so great, and it was normal for them to be able to evolve. The flame became more and more intense. The phoenix let out a long cry and flew continuously. However, a day later, the raging flame seemed to have burned to the limit and quickly converged, revealing Phoenix Spirit's figure. At this time, although Phoenix Spirit's cultivation was still at the third stage of the sage-to-be, the pressure she gave off was much stronger than before. Even Lu Ming felt a trace of pressure. Phoenix Spirit's spiritual body had successfully evolved and reached the intermediate heaven spiritual body. Phew! The flame disappeared and Phoenix Spirit stood up. Congratulations, Phoenix Spirit. Congratulations, congratulations. Yi Dongfang, Xia Ding, and the others congratulated Phoenix Spirit. There was envy in their eyes, but they were not discouraged. The higher the spiritual body level, the stronger the talent and the stronger the combat strength of the same level. However, their future achievements might not be stronger. They were also heaven spiritual bodies and had the potential to break through to the Emperor realm. In the future, when they cultivated to the martial Emperor realm, it was hard to say whose achievements would be higher. Chapter 1657. Huang Ling nodded and expressed her gratitude to the crowd. She then glanced at Lu Ming. Huang Ling, I just had a breakthrough too. Let's break out of here today, Lu Ming said. His eyes flickered sharply. All right, let's break out of here today. The others nodded. Their faces flickered with murderous intent. They were all geniuses with great pride. However, they had been forced to hide here for half a year because of the local tribes. They had been holding back their anger for a long time. Let's go. Lu Ming immediately took the lead and strode toward the exit. Almost 500 people followed behind Lu Ming. Their auras were shocking. Soon, he arrived at the passageway leading to the entrance of the passageway. Sure enough, the time needed to cross the passage was only a short one day. As they crossed the exit, a loud roar could be heard from outside. They are coming out. Bang! 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 Immediately, terrifying auras burst out from all directions outside the passage. They were the auras of Sacred Realm experts. There were around 20 of them. These people were unwilling to give up. They had been waiting here for half a year. Over 20 figures arrived in the air. They were encapsulated in sacred glows. Their auras were as heavy as mountains. Kill! Lu Ming let out a roar and charged forward. Kill! 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 The rest of the young men immediately charged forward, firing terrifying attacks at Qin Nan. Their strength had improved significantly compared to half a year ago. Die! An expert in the lesser success stage of the bright sacred realm fixed his eyes on Lu Ming and threw a punch at Lu Ming. You're the one who's going to die, Lu Ming said coldly. He executed the hell-suppressing heaven art and threw a punch forward. The punch contained the power of the law of chaos. Bang! Lin Fan's fist collided with the opponent's palm. The opponent's expression changed drastically as he screamed in agony. His palm directly exploded. Lin Fan's terrifying force continued to bombard the opponent with devastating force. No! The other party screamed in terror. Then, under this move, his body was torn apart. His saint heart was shattered, and he died on the spot. With just a single move, he had killed a radiant saint in the lesser mastery. The other saints by the side sucked in a cold breath. Wang! Suddenly, the void rippled, and the space in front of the other bright saint expert shattered like a mirror. The body of the bright saint expert also shattered like a mirror. Another small success bright saint expert had died. Bubble had used the laws of spacetime to instantly kill a sage realm expert. Chirp! On the other side, Huang Ling was bathed in her undying flames. She struck out with her palm, and a blazing phoenix flew out. A radiant saint expert was sent flying, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was severely injured by Huang Ling in one move. As for Yi Dongfang, Xia Ding, and the others, they also unleashed their full strength. Every one of them could fight against a saint, and they were not weak at all. Together with the other 500 Sky Prides, their combined might was terrifying. With their combined might, they were able to completely block off the other party's attack. You're courting death. A black-robed old man with cold eyes charged toward Lu Ming. This person was a radiant saint expert in the greater mastery. A demonic palm print blasted toward Lu Ming. Its combat strength was several times stronger than that of a small success bright saint expert. A chaotic flipping sky seal suddenly appeared in Lu Ming's palm, and he smashed it toward the old man. The chaotic flipping sky seal was activated with the laws of space-time. Its power was even more terrifying, and it directly smashed the old man's demonic palm print. It seems like the peak Radiant Saint expert is not here for the time being. Then let's kill this guy. Lu Ming's eyes burst out with cold murderous intent. His glabella shone, and Ming Lian's second body stepped out. The Tai Chi array shone, and a Tai Chi yin-yang fish pattern pressed toward the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man's demonic light burst out, and he struck out two palms to resist the Tai Chi yin-yang fish pattern. But at this moment, he was shocked to find that his movements had slowed down, as though he was in slow motion. Swoosh! A sword formed by the space slashed across, and a sword wound appeared on the black-robed old man's body. Blood flowed out, and his body was almost cut into two. Kill. Lu Ming would not let go of such an opportunity. With a loud roar, the divine sword art attacked the old man's soul. When Lu Ming broke through to the second stage of the Sage-to-be realm, his soul had been refined, and he had finally broken through the limit. Now, Lu Ming's soul power was equivalent to the soul power of a Radiant Saint expert of the initial stage. Although his soul power was not as strong as the black-robed old man's, the divine sword art could still affect the old man to a certain extent. At the same time, Lu Ming appeared beside the old man. Under the old man's horrified gaze, Lu Ming punched the old man's head. The old man's head exploded like a watermelon. Swoosh! Lu Ming's claw pierced the black-robed old man's dantian, and he grabbed the old man's saint heart. The saint heart was as black as ink, like a diamond. It was sparkling, and it was filled with the laws of demonic Tao. The saint heart of a sage-to-be was a treasure. It could be used to refine pills or refine weapons. It was very expensive in the market, so Lu Ming kept it immediately. As for the black-robed old man, he could not be any more dead. A Radiant Saint expert was killed in a few moves by Lu Ming, his second body, and Bubble. Of course, this was because the three of them had a tacit understanding. If Lu Ming's main body was alone, his combat strength would not be much different from the old man's. It would be impossible for him to kill the old man. At most, he would have the upper hand. When the native Sage-to-be realm experts saw this scene, they were terrified and retreated continuously. It was the same for the other three great success bright saints. They were going all out to deal with the other sky prides. When they saw this scene, they felt a chill run down their spines. After not seeing each other for half a year, Lu Ming had killed a Radiant Saint expert of the initial stage with a single punch. He could even kill a Radiant Saint expert of the great stage. This was too terrifying. Charge! Lu Ming did not continue to fight. He took the opportunity to rush out of the encirclement. Die for me. At this moment, a loud roar came from behind. A thin figure flew over at extreme speed. It was the Radiant Saint expert. This person was injured by the power of the laws in the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. During this period of time, he was hiding not far away to recuperate. When he heard the commotion, Lu Ming and the others had already rushed out of the encirclement. Everyone enter the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming shouted and summoned the mountain and river diagram. He took everyone into the mountain and river diagram. Even if he joined forces with Bubble and his second body, they were not a match for a Radiant Saint expert. In the Saint realm, every step forward would increase one's combat strength by several times. The gap was huge. After taking the others into the mountain and river diagram, Bubble opened a space-time channel. Lu Ming stepped into it directly. The next moment, he appeared tens of thousands of miles away. After Bubble comprehended the space-time laws, his various aspects had naturally improved rapidly. The space-time channel's distance had also increased by several times. Chapter 1658. The peak bright Saint expert was dumbfounded when he saw that Lu Ming had disappeared. Then, he let out a furious roar. When he found out that Lu Ming had killed a Bright Sage Initial Mastery and a Bright Sage Phenomenal Mastery powerhouse, he almost vomited blood. This time, they had failed to capture Lu Ming and the others. Half a year ago, not only had he been injured, but they had also lost two great experts this time. They had bitterly waited here for half a year, but in the end, They did not even leave behind a single strand of hair. One could imagine how depressed they were. Inform all clans to hunt down the other outsiders of the 100-tribe battlefield. In the future, kill anyone who sees an outsider. The Peak Bright Saint expert roared. His killing intent was extremely strong. After passing through several spacetime passages, Lu Ming changed direction and flew toward the periphery of the 100-tribe battlefield. Lu Ming's current speed was extremely fast. He was like a ray of light flying across the sky. Half a day later, Lu Ming had already arrived at the periphery of the 100-tribe battlefield. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He heard a violent roar in front of him. It was the sound of a great battle. Lu Ming flew forward. Not long after, Lu Ming saw 4 young people being chased by a group of strange beasts. It's them. What a coincidence. Lu Ming's lips curled into an inexplicable smile. The 4 young people were Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the other 2. After not seeing each other for more than a year, the cultivation of the 4 of them had also improved greatly. When Yun Shi had first entered the 100-tribe battlefield, her cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the martial royal realm. Now, she had reached the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm, the same as Lu Ming. Yun Kai and the other 2 had also reached the 1st stage of the half-saint realm. But now, they were in extreme danger. They were being chased by a group of strange beasts. Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the other 2 were very depressed. During this period, they had been moving around the periphery of the 100-tribe battlefield. They had been training in some of the outer cities, and their cultivation had steadily improved. But more than half a year ago, the natives of the 100-tribe battlefield had gone crazy. They had started to wantonly hunt and capture the foreign geniuses. They were lucky to have escaped the calamity and found a safe place to hide. They had been hiding for more than half a year. Recently, they had all made breakthroughs in their cultivation bases. They wanted to rush out of the 100-tribe battlefield and return to Cloud Emperor Mountain. However, not long after they came out, they were chased by a group of exotic beasts. The overall combat strength of this group of exotic beasts was twice as strong as theirs. They were no match for them at all. Charge, charge out. Yun Shi shouted loudly. Her long spear danced like a dragon, and blocked the 3 strange beasts of the 2nd stage of the semisage realm. They wanted to rush out, but the exotic beasts held them tightly. Ah, Yun Kai, what are you doing? Suddenly, an angry roar sounded. It turned out that Yun Kai had suddenly attacked and sent Yun Q flying with a single palm strike. Many strange beasts immediately pounced towards Yun Q. Yun Q let out an angry roar, exploding with all his strength to resist. Yun Kai, Yun Shi was also furious. Exchanging his life for the lives of the 3 of us is worth it. Now, let's charge. Yun Kai shouted, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Yun Q risked his life to attract a group of exotic beasts. Naturally, there was an opening, and Yun Kai quickly rushed out from that opening. Ah, Yun Kai, you will die a horrible death. Yun Q roared crazily. Poochie. His arm was torn off by a strange beast. Hold on. Yun Shi shouted, rushing towards Yun Q with all her might. She swept away a strange beast and saved Yun Q by a hair's breadth. Humph, how stupid. You didn't rush out with such a good opportunity. Then, all of you can go to hell. Yun Kai sneered in his heart. Don't let him escape. A strange beast spoke in human language. Suddenly, several powerful strange beasts chased after Yun Kai, including 2 2nd-stage semisage beasts. Yun Kai's expression changed. He used his movement technique to the extreme and flew at top speed. The next moment, his expression changed because he saw a person in front of him. This person was naturally Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's you. You came at the right time. Come and help us resist the strange beast. Yun Kai shouted coldly. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he flew towards Lu Ming at top speed. Obviously, he wanted to drag Lu Ming into the water to help him resist the strange beasts so that he could escape. His intentions were sinister. Lu Ming had a faint smile on his face, and he did not move. Yun Kai's face revealed a ferocious expression, and he rushed towards Lu Ming at top speed. Get lost. Suddenly, Lu Ming shouted. This voice contained the power of the divine sword art. Yun Kai screamed and his body stopped in the air. Lu Ming took a step forward, past Yun Kai, and appeared beside Yun Shi and the others. Kill! Lu Ming shouted again. The divine sword art blasted out with the power of the sound wave, bombarding the strange beasts. Plop! Plop! A large number of strange beasts fell directly, their vitality extinguished. Lu Ming's shout just now had destroyed the souls of those strange beasts, including several second-stage half-saint beasts, by Lu Ming. Yun Shi and the other two were dumbfounded. To them, the strange beasts that could take their lives were killed by Lu Ming's shout. This made them feel like they were dreaming. Then, Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air, forming 3 true origin ribbons, entangling Yun Shi and the others, and retreating quickly. Those strange beasts looked at Lu Ming in horror, and did not dare to chase after him. Ah, save me, save me. At this time, Yun Kai screamed at the top of his lungs. Lu Ming's shout just now did not kill Yun Kai, and it did not even injure him. It only made him feel pain, and his body stopped. Now, he was surrounded by those strange beasts. He was alone, so how could he be a match for those strange beasts? Suddenly, a few more wounds appeared on his body. Lu Ming, Yun Shi, and the others looked on coldly. The strange beasts that had surrounded Yun Shi and the others saw this scene, and immediately roared and rushed toward Yun Kai. Yun Kai was even more desperate, and he screamed, Lu Ming, save me, save me, I am a disciple of Cloud Emperor Mountain, you can't leave me to die. Lu Ming shook his head. This Yun Kai, at this time, still wanted to use Cloud Emperor Mountain to threaten him. How stupid. Puff. One of Yun Kai's legs was torn off by a strange beast. He screamed miserably, Lu Ming, Yun Shi, I was wrong, save me, save me. But in the next moment, a strange beast in the second stage of the half-saint realm bit off his head directly. Yun Kai died unwillingly. Roar. Roar. Those strange beasts looked at Lu Ming seriously, and then ran away, not daring to make a move. Yun Kai, you deserve to die. Yun Q said hatefully. Previously, Yun Kai had plotted against him in order to save his life, and they did not have the slightest sympathy for him. Indeed, you deserve to die. Chapter 1659. Next, Yun Q and the other youth, Yun Feng, also expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming. When Lu Ming had wanted to come with them, they had looked down on Lu Ming. At that time, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak of the 6th layer of the martial emperor realm. They had thought that Lu Ming wanted to borrow their strength to temper himself in the 100-tribe battlefield. But now, after more than a year, Lu Ming was unfathomable in their eyes. Moreover, Lu Ming had saved them time and time again. Otherwise, they would not have been able to walk out of the 100-tribe battlefield. No need to thank me. I saved you because I wanted to use your transportation array to return to Tsangzhou, Lu Ming said indifferently. The 100-tribe battlefield was extremely far away from Tsangzhou. Without a transportation array, it would take an unknown amount of time to fly there. Yunju was the closest province to Tsangzhou. If they wanted to return, they would first go to Yunju. Yun Shi, Yun Q, and the others had awkward expressions on their faces. Let's go, Lu Ming said and flew out of the 100-tribe battlefield. Yun Shi and the others hurriedly followed. At this point, they were not far from the 100-tribe battlefield. Soon, they flew out of the 100-tribe battlefield and appeared outside the 100-tribe battlefield. As soon as they flew out of the 100-tribe battlefield, Lu Ming immediately felt that the primal chaos law of heaven and earth had become clearer and more natural to control. After all, the laws in the 100-tribe battlefield were too chaotic. The saints outside the 100-tribe battlefield are probably stronger than the saints inside. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. In the 100-tribe battlefield, the laws were chaotic. The saints would not be able to control the laws as they wished. In a battle of the same level, the saints outside would definitely be stronger. Lu Ming, let's go to the transportation array, Yun Shi said. Wait a moment, Lu Ming said. Then, his forehead lit up and a large group of people suddenly appeared, giving Yun Shi and the others a fright. Especially when they sensed the cultivation of this group of people, their expressions changed greatly. The cultivation of this group of people wasn't any weaker than theirs. In fact, they were all stronger than them. Some of their auras were as dense as mountains, unfathomable. All the geniuses were peerless geniuses. Yun Shi and the others widened their eyes in shock. Lu Ming actually had such a huge force with him. What exactly had Lu Ming experienced in the 100-clan battlefield? These people were none other than Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others. The moment Huang Ling and the rest came out, they started looking around. Hey, the aura of laws here is not from the 100-race battlefield. Ha ha ha, we're out. They could sense that they were already out of the 100-tribe battlefield. They were overjoyed. They were finally out of danger. Although many people didn't return in this direction, as long as they left the 100-clan battlefield, it would be easy for them to return. It would only take them a bit more time. Then, everyone expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming. Yun Shi and the others could only watch from the side, dumbfounded. Lu Ming, with your talent, you will definitely leave the Kang state in the future. After all, the Kang state is too small. If you leave the Kang state in the future, you can come to the ancient moon sacred ground to find me. Huang Ling's beautiful eyes wandered as she came in front of Lu Ming. There was a trace of reluctance in her eyes, but she hid it very well. Ancient moon sacred ground? Lu Ming was puzzled. He had never heard of the ancient moon sacred ground. You haven't heard of it? Huang Ling asked. No, I came from outside the Yuanlu continent. I'm not very familiar with the Yuanlu continent. There aren't many records in the ancient books in the Kang state. Lu Ming said. You came from the barren land? This time, not only Huang Ling, but the other geniuses were also surprised. Lu Ming was such a genius, but he actually came from the barren land. It was really beyond their expectations. The barren land? Lu Ming was even more puzzled. Why had he not heard of any of the places that Huang Ling and the others mentioned? Back then, the Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley had given him a map. It was the territory of the dozens of large states near the Kang state. Lu Ming, let me tell you the rough division of the entire world. Legend has it that there are a total of 9 heavens and 10 lands between the heavens and the earth. Legend has it that the 9 heavens are not the land of the Yuan realm, but the heaven realm. Legend has it that the heaven realm and the Yuan realm are twin worlds. The heaven realm is divided into 9 heavens, and the Yuan realm is divided into 10 land. I'm not sure about the 9 heavens of the heaven realm. After all, it's too far away from us. The 10 lands of the Yuan continent are the Barren Land, the land of sin and chaos, the land of infinite demons, the land of infinite demons, the land of divine beasts, the land of 5 elements, the land of heavenly savages, the land of 9 serenities, the land of Yuan Mountain, and the land of divine fate. Among them, the Barren Land refers to the endless islands outside the Yuan continent. It's called the Barren Land when combined. Huang Ling explained in detail. Outside the Yuan continent, there's an endless ocean. The endless islands and continents are actually one of the 10 lands, the Barren Land. Lu Ming was a little dumbfounded. That's right. The place we're at is one of the 10 lands, the Yuan Mountain. The Yuan Mountain is vast and boundless. Its territory is so vast that it's difficult to calculate. There are countless forces of various sizes in the Yuan Mountain. There are many emperor-level forces and countless blessed grotto heavens. However, among all the blessed grotto heavens, there are 9 places that are the most famous. They're called the 9 Great Holy Lands. Each of the 9 Great Holy Lands is a holy land for cultivation. The environment is unique and far surpasses other places. The ancient Moon Holy Land is one of the 9 Great Holy Land. There are many powerful forces entrenched in each of the holy lands. My Phoenix Palace is in the ancient Moon Holy Land. In fact, the location of the 100-tribe battlefield is within the range of the ancient Moon Holy Land. Therefore, the Sky Prides who come to the 100-tribe battlefield to train are mostly from the ancient Moon Holy Land. There are also some emperor-level forces in the nearby provinces. Huang Ling continued to explain. Lu Ming let out a long breath. His eyes were filled with shock. He finally had a clearer understanding of the Yuan Mountains' territory. Vast, it was too vast. The Kang province was already extremely vast. However, it was only one of the many provinces near the ancient Moon Holy Land. There were obviously even more powerful forces entrenched in the ancient Moon Holy Land. The Yuan Mountain had the 9 great holy lands. How many provinces were there? How big was the territory? However, the Yuan Mountain was only one of the 10 lands in the Yuan Mountain. How many sky prides and powerhouses were there in such a vast territory? Perhaps no one knew that on this vast land, powerhouses would fall and powerhouses would be born every day. Sky prides would rise and experience their own joys and sorrows. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with intense anticipation. The Kang province was still too small. In the future, he would definitely leave the Kang province and explore the outside world. Brother Lu, remember to look for me when you're at the ancient Moon Holy Land. We'll drink to our heart's content then, Yi Dongfang said forthrightly. The Thunder God sect was also in the ancient Moon Holy Land. Immediately, the other sky prides also sent invitations to Lu Ming. Chapter 1660. Miss Huang Ling, Brother Yi, Lu Ming has something on his mind that he would like to ask you. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, Brother Lu, feel free to speak. Yi Dongfang said. Everyone, have you heard of the phrase the only one in the world? Lu Ming asked. Back then, when Lu Ming was still very weak, a person came to the divine wilderness and took away Autumn Moon, leaving only the words the only one in the world above the divine wilderness. Lu Ming understood that the word above the divine wilderness probably referred to a continent that was stronger than the divine wilderness mainland. If it was those small overseas continents like the divine wilderness mainland, it would be troublesome because there were too many of them and it would be difficult to find. If it was a force in the Yuan continent, Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others came from powerful forces and were knowledgeable. Perhaps they would know, which was why Lu Ming asked. It had been more than 10 years since he parted with Autumn Moon. Lu Ming missed her very much and wondered how she was doing now. The only one in the world. Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others looked at each other and revealed a thoughtful look. Why? Miss Huang Ling, Brother Yi, you don't know? Lu Ming was slightly disappointed in his heart. The only one in the world who dares to be so arrogant in the world and use this title is most likely the One Divine Palace. Huang Ling frowned and said, I think so too. Other than the One Divine Palace, who dares to claim to be the only one in the world? Yi Dongfang said. Where is the One Divine Palace? Is it an emperor-level force? Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he quickly asked. Although the One Divine Palace is in the Yuan Mountain Land, it is not in the ancient Moon Holy Land but in another holy land. Moreover, the One Divine Palace is an extremely terrifying force and the experts of the One Divine Palace are very powerful. I heard that there are not many disciples in the One Divine Palace, but every one of them is known as the only one in the world. For example, a disciple of the One Divine Palace who cultivates the law of fire is unique in the law of fire. He is incomparably powerful and can suppress other prodigies who cultivate the law of fire. A prodigy who cultivates other laws and can suppress other laws is known as the only one in the world. Huang Ling explained. Every one of them is unique in the world. Lu Ming found it hard to believe. The Yuan continent was vast and there were as many experts as there were clouds. Although there were millions of laws, there were even more people who cultivated them. There were probably many people who cultivated every kind of law, especially common laws like the law of fire and the law of water. There were even more people who cultivated them. Who could say that they were the only one in the world? The Soul Temple's tone was too arrogant. The title of the Soul Holy Temple is too much. There are so many geniuses in the world. How could they dare to call themselves the number one and only? But I have to say that the people from the Soul Holy Temple are indeed terrifying. Huang Ling said. That's right. I've heard that there are some experts in the Soul Holy Palace who travel the world all year round to find people with exceptional talent and bring them back to the Soul Holy Palace to cultivate and nurture them. Yi Dongfang added. Yi Dongfang's words made Lu Ming's eyes light up. The Seoul Holy Palace had experts who traveled the world to find people with exceptional talent and bring them back to the Seoul Holy Palace to cultivate. It was very likely that someone had walked to the divine wilderness continent and discovered the autumn moon. Lu Ming found some clues. No matter what, he had to make a trip to the Seoul Holy Palace in the future. Thank you for answering Lu Ming's questions. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Brother Lu, you're too courteous. I'll take my leave first. The matter of the 100-clan battlefield must be reported to the sect as soon as possible to prevent more geniuses from entering, Yi Dongfang said. After that, the others also bid farewell to Lu Ming. In the end, Huang Ling and the people of the Phoenix Palace also bid farewell and left. Only Lu Ming, Yun Shi, and a few others were left. Let's go, Lu Ming said. Yun Shi and the others nodded subconsciously. Unknowingly, Lu Ming had established a strong prestige in their hearts. This place was very close to the teleportation array of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Soon, they arrived at the teleportation array and stepped into it to return to the Cloud Emperor Mountain. After returning to the Cloud Emperor Mountain, the old man who had gone to pick up Lu Ming and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master found Lu Ming and told him a piece of news. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had asked him to pass a message to Lu Ming. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had something to do during this period. If Lu Ming returned from the 100-clan battlefield, he could return to the Tsangzhou alone. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the old man. The old man nodded and led Lu Ming out of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Then, Lu Ming took out his flying shuttle and flew in the direction of the Tsangzhou. The Cloud Emperor Mountain was very far from the Tsangzhou, especially from the Divine Dragon Valley. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had taken 2 days to rush there. With the speed of Lu Ming's flying shuttle, it would take him a month to rush back to the Divine Dragon Valley. However, since there were still 4 months before the treasure sorting assembly, Lu Ming was not in a hurry. He could take his time to get back. While he was on the road, he could use this time to cultivate. The higher one's cultivation, the more numb one would be to time. A martial emperor could live for 10 to 20,000 years. A sage could live for more than 100,000 years. Some people would cultivate in seclusion for a few years or even a few decades. It might take a few hundred years or even 1,000 years to break through to the next level. A month's time really wasn't much. Sitting cross-legged in the flying shuttle, Lu Ming took out a few storage rings. These storage rings were obtained by Lu Ming after killing a few Sage Realm experts in the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming had not checked and counted them before. Now was the time to do so. Not long after, he finished counting. Even with Lu Ming's temperament, he was dumbfounded. I'm rich. I'm really rich. There were too many treasures and origin stones. There were more than 100 sacred weapons. A total of 150 sacred weapons. What a huge number. On second thought, Lu Ming understood. This time, the local sages had killed many of the geniuses from the major factions who had entered. Almost all of these geniuses had sacred weapons. Naturally, the sages had collected a lot of them. There were also origin stones piled up like a mountain. Anyway, it was enough for Lu Ming to use for a period of time. I'm cultivating the 10,000 weapon art and need a lot of sacred weapons. Now that I'm not short of them, I can cultivate the 10,000 weapon art while I'm on the road, Lu Ming thought. Previously, Lu Ming had focused on comprehending the law of primal chaos and put everything else aside. He had not cultivated the 10,000 weapon art. When Lu Ming was a 9th-level martial emperor, he could seal 12 sacred weapons. Now that he had broken through to the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm and comprehended the law of primal chaos, he had refined a wisp of true primal chaos chi in his body. How many sacred weapons could he seal in his body now? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. Immediately, Lu Ming began to cultivate. He activated the 10,000 weapon art and began to seal the sacred weapons in his acupoints. He completed the 13th sacred weapon easily without feeling anything. Then, the 14th, the 15th. Chapter 1661. For half a month, Lu Ming constantly cultivated the 10,000 weapon art. The further he progressed, the slower the speed of sealing the sacred weapons. This was because the more sacred weapons there were, the more powerful the combat weapon aura would be and the greater the burden on his body would be. Lu Ming had to be careful and take things one step at a time. In the end, Lu Ming successfully sealed 36 holy weapons. At this point, Lu Ming felt that he had reached his limit and stopped. When Wen Tiancheng was in the second stage of the half-saint realm, he had only sealed 14 holy weapons. The difference between him and Lu Ming was too great. When the battle weapon chi of 36 holy weapons fused, their power reached a terrifying level. After cultivating the 10,000 weapon art, he began to comprehend the law of primal chaos and the primal chaos flipping sky seal. Now, the primal chaos flipping sky seal had reached the peak of the 5th stage. It was not far from the 6th stage, the perfect stage. Time flew by, and a few more days passed. The space-piercing flying shuttle flew high in the sky. Swoosh! Suddenly, a bright sword light flashed below, attracting Lu Ming's attention. Lu Ming walked to the crystal glass and looked out. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows. He saw a familiar face. Su Lei. When he was cultivating on the floating platform in Dragon God Valley, he made a bet with Silver Dragon Valley's Silver City. Later, Silver City reneged on the bet and made false accusations. At that time, no one dared to testify for Lu Ming. In the end, it was a timid little girl who testified for Lu Ming. That little girl was Su Lei. Lu Ming had a deep impression of her. At this time, Su Lei was being chased. Together with Su Lei was a young girl. The two of them were fleeing in panic. Behind them, more than a dozen burly men were chasing. Lu Ming stepped out of the space-piercing flying shuttle. With a wave of his hand, he put away the space-piercing flying shuttle and flew towards Su Lei. Su Lei, you can't escape today. You'd better follow us back to the Su family obediently to avoid physical pain. Behind Su Lei, a burly man said with a gloomy face. Su Lei gritted her teeth and flew forward without saying a word. "Mph, don't even think about it. You bunch of despicable people, Miss will definitely not go back with you." The young girl beside Su Lei said loudly. "Little girl, how dare you? What do you know? You are going back for the sake of the Su family. It is your honor to contribute to the family." The burly man roared. Their speed became faster and faster, and they quickly approached Su Lei and her companion. Su Lei and the young woman's faces became paler and paler. "Junior sister Su Lei, how have you been?" At this moment, a clear voice rang out. Su Lei was stunned. Then, she saw a young figure in a black robe descending from the sky, his long hair fluttering in the wind. Senior brother Lu Ming." Su Lei blurted out in surprise. She didn't expect to run into Lu Ming here. Then, Su Lei's expression changed as she cried out, "Senior brother Lu Ming, leave quickly." But before she could finish her words, Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he suddenly appeared between Su Lei and those burly men. Those burly men directly rushed towards Lu Ming. The leader shouted, "Kid, get lost." Then, he reached out a big hand and grabbed Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, a wall of ethereal force formed in front of him. Bang! The burly man grabbed the ethereal force wall. It was like an ordinary person's hand grabbing onto a steel plate with all his strength, but the force was stronger. With a crack, the burly man's finger broke. Moreover, because they were rushing forward too quickly, they all crashed into the ethereal force wall. Bang! 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 The scene was spectacular. More than a dozen burly men were flying at high speed, but they suddenly crashed into the ethereal force wall. Each of them was dizzy from the impact, and they staggered left and right, bleeding from their mouths and noses. Some of them even had their noses broken. Su Lei and the young woman were dumbfounded. After a long while, the burly men finally reacted. The leader shouted, "Kid, this is an internal matter of the Su family. It has nothing to do with you. Get lost quickly." Although he was shouting, his eyes were filled with seriousness. Although the dozen of them did not attack the wall of quintessential essence that Lu Ming condensed just now, they were surrounded by their quintessential essence and domain. When they collided with it, The wall of quintessential essence did not budge at all. On the contrary, they were badly battered and battered. Are you from the same family as junior sister Su Lei? Lu Ming looked at Su Lei. Su Lei blushed and nodded slightly. Kid, did you see that? This is a private matter of the Su family. Get lost quickly. We're taking Su Lei back to the Su family, the leader yelled. No, I don't want to go back to the Su family. Su Lei shook her head continuously. Today, you have to go back even if you don't want to. Brothers, let's attack together, the leader yelled. Get lost. Lu Ming's eyes flickered coldly as he took a step forward. Bang! The sky rumbled as a terrifying force charged towards the dozen or so burly men. Among the burly men, the strongest was only an 8th-layer martial dominator. They were like ants in front of Lu Ming, unable to withstand a single blow. Bang! Bang! The burly men were sent flying while spitting out mouthfuls of blood. They stared at Lu Ming in astonishment. This young man is so powerful. Su Lei, so what if you have help? Don't forget that your mother is still in the Su family. If you don't go back, your mother will die because of you, the leader said in a ferocious tone. Su Lei's face instantly turned pale as her eyes were filled with tears, as if she was about to burst out crying. Don't hurt my mother. Humph, you better think about it carefully. Let's go. The leader harumphed and turned around to leave. Did I say you can leave? Lu Ming said in a cold tone. The burly men's faces turned pale as they wore terrified expressions. Senior brother Lu Ming, let them go. Otherwise, my mother, Su Lei said from the side. The burly men immediately flew forward and disappeared. Lu Ming did not chase after them. Junior sister Su Lei, what's going on? Are they from the same family as you? Lu Ming asked. Su Lei pondered for a while and said, Senior brother Lu Ming, it's nothing. I'll deal with this matter myself. You should leave. Junior sister Su Lei, you're afraid of involving me? Lu Ming asked directly. This timid girl was very kind-hearted and not scheming. Lu Ming saw through her thoughts at a glance. Su Lei twisted her hands together and did not speak for a while. Miss, what's there to hide? Those people are despicable and shameless. They want to sacrifice you for their own sake. What kind of people are they? Bah. The young girl on the side said in a bad mood. This girl was Su Lei's maidservant. Her name was Su Cha. Her personality was the opposite of Su Lei's. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a trace of sharpness and said, Miss, tell me what's going on. Well, Miss is kind. Let me tell you, it's like this. Chapter 1662. Nearby, there was a big city called Gusu City. There were 4 major families in Gusu City. The Su family that Su Lei came from was one of the 4 major families. In fact, the 4 major families used to be the same family a long time ago. However, something happened and the 4 major families split up. The few families that split up changed their surnames and formed the 4 major families of today. The 4 major families had a common ancestral land. Every once in a while, the 4 major families would send out young experts to compete with each other. The family that won would be able to send people into the ancestral land to obtain opportunities. Moreover, they could even ask for external help. No matter which family it was, as long as they invited the younger generation, they could represent their family and participate in the competition. After all, relationships and connections sometimes represented strength. Now, it was time for the 4 major families to compete for the spots to enter the ancestral land. This time, the Su family had invited a few supreme talents from the celestial god sect to participate in the competition. With the supreme talents from the celestial god sect participating, the Su family would definitely win. However, the supreme talents from the celestial god sect had a request. This was because one of the supreme talents from the celestial god sect had been poisoned by the fire lotus. Su Lei had the mystical yin dragon body. The supreme talents from the celestial god sect wanted Su Lei to have intercourse with the person who had been poisoned by the fire lotus. This way, the mystical yin dragon body would neutralize the fire lotus poison. When Su Lei found out about this, she ran out. That was why more than 10 burly men from the Su family chased after her. However, they did not expect the other party to be so despicable as to use Su Lei's mother to threaten them. I see. The sharpness in Lu Ming's eyes became even colder. Where there were people, there would be conflicts. Cultivators would constantly compete for benefits. This kind of thing happened every day in the vast Yuanlu. Without strength, one could not even decide one's own fate. Lu Ming could not and would not care about other people's affairs. However, since he had encountered this matter and it was Su Lei who had helped him before, he had to take care of it. Junior sister Su Lei, let's go. I will accompany you back to the Su family, Lu Ming said. Su Lei shook her head and said, Senior brother Lu Ming, this is my matter. I cannot implicate you. I will go back and save my mother. Will you go back by yourself and agree to their conditions? Lu Ming said. Su Lei fell silent. Tears welled up in her eyes again. She looked lonely and helpless. With her cultivation, what could she do even if she went back? Only by agreeing to the other party's conditions could she save her mother. Let's go, I will go back to Su family with you. Su Cha, you lead the way. Lu Ming was very direct. He pulled Su Lei's small hand and stepped into the air. All right. Su Cha nodded his head and flew forward. Now, she could only give it a try. Lu Ming addressed Su Lei as junior sister. He should be a disciple of the Dragon God Valley, right? Perhaps Lu Ming was very strong. Senior brother Lu Ming, the Su clan has a saint. Su Lei blushed as Lu Ming held her hand. However, she was still worried. Although she knew that Lu Ming was very strong and had been for a few years, compared to those half-saints or even saints, Lu Ming was definitely no match for them. Haha, so what if they are saints? I can still slap them to death. Junior sister Su Lei, you helped me in the past. I haven't returned this favor yet. If I miss this opportunity, how can I return the favor in the future? Do you want me to repay you with my body? Ha ha ha. Lu Ming laughed, but Su Lei's face was red. However, after Lu Ming's joke, Su Lei's mood was much better. She let Lu Ming pull her and flew towards Gusu City. Gusu City was very big. In the Kang Prefecture, it was also a famous city. There were 4 major clans in the city. Each of them had a saint. In the nearby area, they could be said to be very powerful. Moreover, the 4 major clans and the top forces in the Kang Prefecture were intertwined. Every time a genius was born, they would be sent to the 13 top forces to cultivate. Just like Su Lei, she was sent to the Dragon God Valley to cultivate. She only returned to the Su family when the competition between the 4 clans was about to come. Unexpectedly, this scene happened. Soon, they arrived at Gusu City. The 3 of them directly came to a huge palace. This was the Su family. Su Lei is back. When the few burly men guarding the door saw Su Lei, their eyes lit up. A few of them flashed and blocked the 3 of them, as if they were afraid that they would escape. One of them dashed into the palace to report the matter. Let's go. Lu Ming let go of Su Lei's small hand and took the lead, walking into the Su family. Su Lei and Su Cha followed. After walking through the door and through a long corridor, they arrived at a large courtyard. When they just stepped into the courtyard, there were continuous sounds of people flying in the air. In the Su family's palace, there were constantly figures flashing and landing in the courtyard, surrounding them. Su Lei and Su Cha's small faces couldn't help but turn pale. Lu Ming had his hands behind his back. His face was calm and composed. Su Lei, I knew that you would come back. A sharp voice could be heard. Following this, a few figures came into the courtyard. The one at the front was a middle-aged man in a blue robe. He stood with his hands behind his back, emitting a dignified aura. Beside the middle-aged man stood a young woman who was quite pretty. At this moment, she was sneering and looking at Su Lei proudly. The voice just now was from her. That's the patriarch of the Su family. That woman is the daughter of the patriarch of the Su family, Su Qin. She's the one who brought the geniuses of the heavenly god sect here. Su Cha transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. His eyes flickered as he sized up the patriarch of the Su family. Third stage of the half-saint realm, jar of the laws. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He could tell at a glance that the patriarch of the Su family's cultivation was at the third stage of the half-saint realm. However, the patriarch of the Su family was at most an inferior earthly spiritual body. Even if he was at the third stage of the laws, it was still not worth mentioning in Lu Ming's eyes. As for Su Qin, her cultivation was even worse. She was only at the sixth layer martial dominator realm. The patriarch of the Su family's gaze landed on Lu Ming's figure and frowned slightly. The reason being that he could not tell Lu Ming's cultivation. However, he soon relaxed his frown. Lu Ming must have practiced some kind of concealment technique. Since he was with Su Lei, it was unlikely that his cultivation was outstanding, thus there was no need to worry. Patriarch, where's my mother? Let her go at once. This has nothing to do with her. Since they were already here, Su Lei decided to go all out. She stepped forward and faced the patriarch of the Su family. Su Lei, what's the rush? Once you've cured Zheng Fei's poison, your mother will be released. The daughter of the patriarch of the Su family, Su Qin, said with a hollow laugh. No, I want to see my mother first. Su Lei clenched her teeth and said. Su Lei, you're not qualified to talk about conditions now. Besides, it's your honor to be able to have sex with the geniuses of the Heavenly God sect. Maybe he'll take a fancy to you and give you a status. By then, you'll have a meteoric rise. Su Qin said. No, I want to see my mother. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.